This big dolphin swam up to us, and I was thinking, what do I say to it? Wait, they don't like words. They like pictures. They like, wait, what do I say?
Right.
And so I thought, I'm just going to send it a bunch of gold color.
Yeah, that's what resonated with me the most was, of course, I need to look inside. That's where the information is.
One of the biggest lies out in the world right now is that we are all separate.
Hello and welcome to the Higher Vibe. I'm Jean Rorda, and this is Conversations with Psychic Friends. Today I have my dear friend Denise Primrose with me. Denise is a clairvoyant reader and healer. Welcome, Denise.
Hi.
Yay! So glad you're here today. We're going to be talking about our origin stories, how we got on this path of studying, teaching, reading clairvoyantly, what got us interested, or when we first realized that that was something natural for us, something that just naturally interested us, something that resonated as true for us. So tell me, do you remember when that first struck you, that first hello of, I think I am that?
I don't know that there was really a pinpoint in time like that. Looking at this question, I think the most memorable was as a young adult, 19, 20 years old. Fortunately, I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, so there was a lot of information out there. But way back in the day, you had to find books to
Yeah.
read out this stuff. And fortunately, I live near Berkeley. There was a lot of information there, San Francisco. And my good friend and roommate learned how to do astrological charts. And then we just stumbled upon books. And when I read about reincarnation, it
Mm,
was like a light bulb.
yeah.
It just made so much sense. And it kind of went from there. Yeah.
And then did you study astrology and reincarnation? Did you pursue any other books or what was your next step from there?
Oh, that was a very long time ago.
Calling back the memories.
I think I read about Edgar Casey and things like that. So I think it got the wheels turning at
Mm-hmm.
that time. But it wasn't until much later that I actually embarked on my spiritual studies in
Yeah.
very true sense.
What initiated that for you? Was there a certain experience in life or did it just naturally unfold? Was there kind of a moment where things shifted?
Yeah, I did. I had a big shift. I was living up in far northern California at the time. In the mid 80s or so, I had a personal tragedy happen, and I think that led me to doing some inner emotional healing work. And I really believe that's what led me to being ready to actually study these things. I didn't realize it at the time, but when I was a young adult, 19, 20 years old, and was reading all these books, I thought to myself, wouldn't it be great if there was a school that you could go to learn these things?
Yeah.
And I didn't know it, but at the time, the founder of Berkeley Psychic Institute was actually creating the Berkeley Psychic Institute.
Wow. So
But
right
it,
you were imagining, wouldn't it be great if there was a school that taught this?
so I was tuning in. It was my intuition, which I wasn't aware of at the time, but my intuition really tapped into that.
Yeah.
So once I did some emotional healing, the universe said, all right, now you're ready. Yeah. So what happened was my boyfriend, who I was head over heels for, broke up with me.
Yeah.
My father died.
Oh,
And
all at the same time.
yeah, and I lost my job and had $67 to my name during a recession and not a lot of skills.
Wow.
And so,
Triple whammy.
yeah.
Like life pulls the rug out from under you and you have to pick a new direction or make a big change.
Yeah. And
Wow.
so looking at all these things in hindsight, it's pretty funny because what happened was I was offered a job back in the Bay Area, and within 6 months, I was studying at the Berkeley Psychic Institute and in the Clairvoyant training program.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
that's the universe will lead you
Yeah.
lead you to water, and I was ready to drink at that time.
That's great. I love it. And I love that even before that, there was that inkling of, some people might call it your higher self. You were kind of already setting it up for yourself. Like, wouldn't it be great if there was a school that taught this? And sure enough, it was being created. And then your path went other places, and then you were brought just right back to the right place in the right time.
Yeah, and even from this perspective too, when I looked back even further as a child, I wasn't raised with any religion at all. We didn't go to church. In fact, when I was 4 or 5 years old, was the thing to get your kids all dressed up for Easter and go to church.
Just for
And
Easter, yeah.
and for some reason, my mother decided we were going to do that.
Uh-huh.
There was a Southern Baptist church a few blocks from our house. And I remember going, and later on, all the little kids went to Sunday school.
Yeah.
And the woman kept talking about Jesus,
Yeah.
all these stories about Jesus and Jesus this and Jesus that. And I said, "Who's Jesus?" And I still remember the look on her face of
Yeah, like you don't know yet. And you were
utter horror. Yeah.
4 at the time.
4 or 5, yeah. And
And
so that's how little religious information I had as a child. But I also remember my best friend in the neighborhood started going to Catholic school, and she would come home because we were in like first or second grade, and she would tell me about things that she learned in class, in her religious classes, things like purgatory.
Mm.
And I remember thinking,
Just fun things like purgatory.
but I remember thinking and knowing in my soul that that was wrong,
Yeah, you
that
had.
God would not do that to souls. And I do remember that bright light that was somewhere inside of me that I was aware of. And so looking back, I do remember that as a child, although at that time, I didn't have any parameters to think about it in that way, as that was part of my spiritual journey as well.
Right. Yeah, I think that's so common where we can recognize as adults, we can recognize in hindsight, oh, I did have this awareness. It was always there within me. There just wasn't necessarily anyone validating it or nurturing it or saying hello to that part of you that had that awareness.
Yeah, probably the exact opposite.
Right. More total invalidation. So you experienced a lot of invalidation?
Yeah, just yeah, as a as a person, as a being,
Mhm.
a lot of ways. I
Atheist energy or just like, oh, that's not real? Or how did you experience invalidation of your awareness?
yeah, I don't remember any specific times that I said anything like, "Oh, Aunt Jane's gonna die." Don't say those things. Yeah, nothing like that, but there was a lot of competition with my mother. I had a rough childhood. It wasn't until a lot of that emotional healing that I did to get ready for my spiritual journey was learning about the kinds of behaviors and things that I was taught as a child and how they weren't working for me as an adult.
Right.
So it made my childhood kind of rough,
Yeah.
but all of that has a purpose. And I wouldn't be who I am and where I am today if I hadn't have gone on that particular journey with that particular family.
Yeah.
But I was always the black sheep, which, in actual sheep herds, the black sheep is the one that leads the flock.
I love it. It's such a great analogy. And there's so many times that I'm talking to someone who's a healer, a clairvoyant on a very specific spiritual path that is very much about validating and following their intuition. So many times they say, yeah, I was the black sheep in the family. And or I really stuck out, or I was very different from the rest of my family members. So I love hearing, because I always think, yeah, that means you were the leader. But to hear that that's actually true for the sheeps. Yeah, the black sheep of the family are like, on a spiritual level, the leaders, right? Bringing the family up to a different vibration, a higher vibration, and a higher level of having this spirit, higher level of acceptance.
And I got a lot of flack in my family from not following the path that you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Getting married, white picket fence, kids, dogs, all of those things. And when I got corralled in that direction, I really broke out. And there was something inside of me that said, this is not my path.
not correct for you. Yeah. It's so important that we recognize that inner GPS, I like to call it. Yeah. That inner guidance system that just sometimes it's subtle and you feel it as a tugging, and sometimes it's very loud and clear as just no, this might be true and aligned for someone, but it's not for me. To be able to follow that, so helpful and validating to be able to look back on it and go, yeah, I knew I needed to follow a different path. That's so great. So you've been studying and practicing clairvoyance for quite a long time. How has that been for you? Your journey's been mostly, would you say, behind closed doors, or or hidden, or for yourself, and you're just starting to come out of the closet a little bit and share with others?
Yes, I'm finally ready to come out of the closet, so to speak.
When I
You know,
say that, I see this like grand entrance. You're not just peeking out, like, here I am. It's more like, hello. That's how I see you, as like coming out of the closet with great enthusiasm and a love for yourself and what you do and for others, and how much you're ready to share that.
and I think I have a very different perspective now with a lot of years under my belt. When I was first studying and was in a clairvoyant training program, my first thought was, I want to become a professional psychic.
Yeah.
Then I started to see some of the punishment that got thrown at people for
Mm,
being out of the closet and being a professional clairvoyant.
hmm.
I thought, no, I don't want that.
Yeah. No, thank you. So when you say professional psychic, what was your picture of that? What were people doing who were professional psychics? Like giving readings? What did that look like?
Earning a living from doing professional readings
Yeah.
and hanging your shingle out.
It's like, here I am. And so at the time, there was a lot of punishment about that. Do you think that's shifted a lot now?
Yes, I
It's
think
becoming more normalized, wouldn't you say?
yes.
Yeah.
And like I say, I have a lot more experience under my belt. When I was in training, it was interesting. I spent about 5 or 6 years at the Berkeley Psychic Institute doing various types of studies. But then I took about a 20-year break.
Wow. Yeah.
I think that and I'm going to use this term, but I'll explain.
Yeah.
I think I wanted to become a muggle again.
Yeah.
And I don't use that term disparagingly.
Right. Right.
I see muggles as people that forget their magic. It's
Yeah.
not that they don't have it, they forget
Yeah.
their magic. And I wanted to forget my magic.
Yeah.
I wanted to blend in. I wanted to take the blue pill.
Do you think that's because once people awaken that magic or own it or develop it more, it almost becomes like a burden? And sometimes that's because we feel a lot of responsibility about it, the need to maybe take on a little more than we really need to because of that. Do you think it had to do with some sense of overwhelm about what was expected of you if you were out in the world being your magical self? Or you
Yes.
just the anonymity, maybe?
Yes, the anonymity and just fitting in,
Mhm.
but it's not something that you can hide. You can't put a light under a bushel.
Yeah,
It's going to start peeking out.
it
And
does. I think a lot of us do try. It feels more safe, maybe. Like you said, at the time, you were noticing, okay, this person's out there in the world being their psychic self, so to speak. And you were seeing a lot of punishment energy thrown at them, or invalidation, control, limits. And you looked at that and thought, no, I'm going to wait till it's really wait till you get the green light, right? The coast is clear. It's not your path to have to deal with or navigate that kind of punishment energy. It looks
yes,
like the coast is clear now.
yes. And then also, the universe again presented me with being able to dive deeper into my studies. So, about 12, 13 years ago, I was dating someone down in Southern California area, and he really wasn't meant to be my relationship. He was really just a catalyst
Mm-hmm.
to lead me back to my study roots. He introduced me to a friend of his who had some roots in the Berkeley Psychic Institute way back in the day.
Mhm.
And it made me think about my studies.
Yeah.
And I found a book that I had that was about miracle stories from people that studied at this institute.
Oh, wow.
And I flipped through it and I could swear that there were at least 20 stories by this one teacher who I remembered from back when I was studying there. And I thought, well, I wonder if he's still teaching or what's going on with him. So I got on the Googles.
Yeah.
Sure enough, he was teaching again.
Nice.
And so that's how I opened the door back up to being a clairvoyant.
Nice.
And the first workshop that I went to, when I spoke to him, he said, "Oh, well, yeah, you've been attending my classes on the astral for a while now." And I was, okay, I'm here. I give up. This is it.
Guess I'll bring my body into class. That's
So,
great.
yeah, so that was the start of a much deeper dive to all of it that really gave me a whole new foundation of understanding my own spirituality and people in the world as themselves, as the spiritual beings that they are, and how to use all the things that I learned, the tools that I learned in the very beginning to help people realize who they are and get closer to that and let go of the things that aren't their energy and that doesn't work for them so that they can make better connections with who they are and be more on their path of where they want to go,
Yeah.
they want to do.
Love it. Yeah, it's so important that people access their what's authentic, what's authentically their creative energy, what
Yes.
is authentically their path and purpose here. And yeah, we don't grow up learning that in school. Maybe times are changing. Maybe now there will be more and more parents aligned with that who can just demonstrate that to their kids. But that wasn't always the case. So a lot of us who are adults now, that's part of our journey is just uncovering that inner knowing, that intuitive knowing of who we are, what our own creative expression is, what our purpose is, and what our path is. It's a profound journey.
Yes.
So now you're feeling more ready to share that with others and come out of the closet.
Yes.
What do you think has changed over the past 10 years or so that makes the world more ready? It might feel to you like it's a safer space, right? The coast is clear. And there's more receptivity, would you say? There's more people not only ready for a higher level of information, but really looking for it. There's a lot of people really seeking those deeper answers. What do you think has changed?
I think there's a big energetic shift in the world. We are actively moving into the age of Aquarius now. We're leaving behind the age of Pisces.
Mhm.
And the people being born in the world in the last decade or so, you've heard this term, star seeds. They're bringing that energy in with them and remembering, and the world is ready for that. So I think on a lot of levels, there's just big energy shifts, and the world is ready for it.
Yes, I'm so happy the world is ready for it.
Me too.
I see that younger generation that really does have a lot of people totally on board with following their inner guidance, with not questioning that, with being just more empowered to follow their inner guidance. That's so much more, I would say, common and normal in the younger generation. But for folks 40s and older who've been around longer, we've lived through this era of really heavy, thick control energy on the planet, limitation, non havingness. Really, just the collective consciousness was like, nope. We're not going to go there. No, thank you. So there were folks that were like the pioneers, right? The way showers for the people who could have it, but there weren't as many people who could have it. And now I see that there's more of a collective agreement to have this information of just really how to navigate intuitively, right? Rather than intellect, to just follow that inner knowing rather than having to figure things out. It's a more clunky way of operating, right?
Yes.
And it's just so much more natural, I think, for the younger generation. And yet, those of us who have been around on the planet a little bit longer in this lifetime, we have this perspective and this experience of how to guide people to really ground that in and really trust it and understand it, understand ourselves more in order to not only navigate with that clarity, but to just be that lighthouse for others to find it. So it looks like we're all playing our part, and you were just waiting for the right moment.
I was, yes. And I wanted to share that back in 1989, when the universe kind of kicked me out of my comfort zone, got me into studying clairvoyance, that the last time there was a planetary alignment of Saturn and Neptune, a conjunction with those two planets, that was happening in 89 when the universe kind
Yeah.
of kicked me out of my comfort zone and I started studying. And actually, that's happening again this week.
Wow.
Last time was 33 years ago in 89, and it's happening again this week. So it's been a big shift for me. My regular corporate job decided to cut me loose.
Ready for your next step.
Now I'm ready for my next step to open the door and hang my shingle out and
Yeah.
say hello to people as the spirits that they are and help them on their path.
Yeah, really excited for you. You have so many years of experience. And from my perspective, just quietly waiting for the timing to be correct for you and for more people on the planet to be ready and able to have it, have your hello. Because this is not just a huge transition for you, right? This is huge for the whole planet. Everyone is going through some kind of major change, whether it's in their personal life, their work life, their community life, social life. There's huge changes happening on the planet, and it's important for people to know there's folks they can reach out to not only support them in finding their next step, but support them in accessing that place within them where they can find that clarity and creative awareness of what their next step is and how to create it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's very exciting. I also think that just in coming out of the closet, it's so inspiring for everyone else. I think there's probably thousands or millions of people out there who have some recognition of whatever words they want to use for it, some recognition of, oh, they're psychic, or, oh, this part of them that's very intuitive and it seems to be really right on, but maybe they're not ready to normalize that. The more of us who really come out of the closet is just normalizing this level of awareness, the more of a bright invitation it is for others to do that as well.
Yeah, and also science is starting to back up all of the things, or a lot of the things that have been known for thousands of years in spiritual practices.
Science is a little slow.
It is.
But it's a great tool of validation for folks that might really appreciate that level of proof.
Yes, some people need proof. They either need that scientific proof, which is starting to come out, with quantum entanglement and
Yeah.
quantum mechanics.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more evidentiary mediums around too.
Right.
Those are people that connect with spirits on the other side, but they also collect evidence to prove to the people that, yes, this is your relative, this is your loved one.
Right.
So sometimes people need that proof.
Yeah. And that's okay. It's an important level of allowing the mind to step into alignment with it. That part of the mind that needs proof or has a lot of doubt, has a lot of fear, can really support that. And it's fascinating. Quantum physics is super fascinating. It's really just a different way of looking at the information in a very mechanical, specific way. I think that those of us who might not need the science or see it in that bigger picture, we're just like, oh, that's just what it is, right? But then some folks are like, yeah, but let's look at the why. Let's look at the how and get into those really specific mechanical levels of information. It's fascinating.
So there's this broad spectrum now of where things are opening up, whether it's with science or mediumship or clairvoyance, or even for some people diving into certain religious practices. They find their spirituality there. So a lot of doors are opening now.
Many doors are opening. Yeah, I love that we're including that hello to religious practices. I love that you mentioned that because I see it as there's no right or wrong. Whatever your path is your path, and you're going to find the information and the inspiration and the truth within whatever path you're in, if it's the correct one for you. And for some people, that's within religion. Even if I can look at from the outside and say certain religious structures have a lot of control, but for some souls, that container that has that level of control, it's what's needed for them to find their information. And for others, it's not. So I see it as not a right and wrong, but more there's lots of options. That's what's fun about the earth, right? There's lots of options. It's a place of great opportunity and learning and
Absolutely. It's a
yeah,
great playground.
it is. And I love that there's more and more souls coming here on this playground that have a higher level of, I would say, certainty in spirit. And as more and more souls come here with that level of certainty in spirit, it just raises that collective vibration so that more and more people can also have that. There's more space. There's just more and more space. It literally feels easier for me to breathe. Breath of fresh air. Oh, this is great. Waiting a long time. And yet people might not be so tuned into that if they're looking at things in terms of just what's going on in the news or what's being reported about the nitty gritty of the various levels of chaos happening during this transition. It's important to be able to tune in within to our own vibration, to the vibration of the collective, and to the vibration of the planet, and to the vibration of all the guides and beings that are supporting us during this great transition.
Yes.
Yeah. So looking within. Looking within is really when I got started on this path of meditation and studying clairvoyance. That's what felt the most just correct. That's what resonated with me the most was, of course, I need to look inside. That's where the information is, right? It never felt correct or aligned or true to me to look out there. So even though there were times where, like you said, there might have been a book that pointed me in the right direction and helped remind me of truth, there was always this knowing that I need to look within. And so finding a teacher and a path that really articulated the ins and outs of going within and discovering the vast resources within. That was really grateful I found that. It's really beneficial. What do you think your first step's going to be when you, what did you say? Put out your shingle? I saw the picture and I was like,
Hanging the shingle up. Yes.
here I am, ready to share. So you're offering readings and healings, communication.
Yes.
Do you have a specific, like I find there's so many different clairvoyants, there's so many different people giving readings, whether they call them intuitive readings or psychic readings or clairvoyant readings, there's astrology readings, and each person has their own, some people might call it a niche, but I find it's more like a natural expression of who you are, and what you're sharing with the world is like a natural extension of that for you. What would you say that that is for you? What are you drawn to in offering others and in sharing yourself?
Well, what I love about the type of clairvoyant readings that I do, which the reading is actually a healing,
Yes.
because it's a win-win situation. I'm looking at this person as the spiritual being they are and allowing them to let go of whatever they're ready to let go of that's no longer working for them. And I, in turn, get to do the same thing for myself if I have a match in that type of energy. So it's bringing healing to both parties.
Yeah.
And I just think that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, it's so important that we recognize. I love the saying healer, heal thyself, right? A healer isn't like shoving a healing at someone. Like, here, take this. You know, a healer is offering a vibration, but it's including themselves, right? The healing doesn't happen in isolation, and it's not just one or the other. It's not either or, right? It's both and. The giver
Yes.
and the receiver are really one, so to speak, in the sense that the healing goes both ways.
And it's really what they're ready to let go of
Yeah.
as well. So it's all within their path and where they are in that moment.
Yeah. They're
Six,
healing themselves.
Yeah, 6 months or a year down the road, they might be ready to let go of something else that they weren't ready to let go of a year ago. They've had that spiritual growth or that emotional growth or whatever it is that is allowing them to move even further down their path. So, yeah, it's a wonderful thing. And I am just thrilled to watch people grow in that way.
Yeah.
It's really amazing.
It's exciting, like for me, both when I experience it and when I see someone else experience that kind of light bulb moment, that aha moment of, oh, I've been holding on to that. I can just let that go. Right? Because sometimes we don't recognize what we're actually holding on to. So many different problems that aren't even ours, so much just really old energy from way past time. And when a clairvoyant reader is just saying hello to that, like, I see this energy that you're holding on to, especially if we didn't even notice we were holding on to it. It's so profound. It's like, oh, what a relief. I can let go of that when I'm ready.
And that's what's great is being a reader, really, you're the catalyst
Yeah.
for that person's healing. Like you say, you're not shoving a healing at them. You're, yeah, you're a catalyst for them to be ready to open up to a different part of themselves, to let go of those things that no longer work for them that, yeah, maybe they weren't even aware
Yeah.
that that was there, that was holding them back.
Yeah. And a catalyst for just seeing themselves in a new light, recognizing a whole part of themselves that they either hadn't recognized before or forgot about, or sometimes had experienced a lot of shame or guilt around, so kind of tucked that part of themselves away. And in that reading, you're saying hello to that and really giving space for them to let go of what was holding them back, holding back that part of their creative power and beingness. And then, like you said, and you get to do the same thing as a reader. It goes both ways. It's very freeing for everyone. It's amazing how simple just communication of truth, how freeing that is.
Yes.
How much permission opens up and inspiration and empowerment.
Yeah. And I really believe too that that type of communication, because it really is a sacred space when you're in a reading and you're looking at this person as the spiritual being that they are. It's a very sacred space and it really is a truthful space. And one of the biggest lies out in the world right now is that we are all separate. There's a lot of things out there that are actually promoting that division
Right. Just a little bit.
little bit. But that spirit to spirit hello is a space where you get to suspend that and say hello to that connection where we're all connected. We're all a part of whatever you want to call it, the one, the all that is. And that goes back to science is actually proving that,
Right.
that
Right.
we're all connected. And it's that space within everything. It's the space in between the subatomic particles that is what connects us.
Yeah, I know. It's so fascinating to see the ins and outs of how science is showing that we're all connected. I love the analogy of like we're all drops in the ocean, right? When we're experiencing ourselves in a body, yes, our bodies are separate. And we have our own specific energy signature, but we're all part of this vast oneness that sometimes the ocean is a great analogy for. And in that sacred space of a reading, to validate that, just how much someone can let go of, and yourself as a reader, how much you can let go of just in remembering, getting back to that higher vibration of awareness of our oneness. Like how much immediately, how much judgment releases, how much resistance and effort, really. I noticed the first thing that I let go of immediately when I tune back into that space, whether I'm just sitting down to meditate for the day or prepare for something, like, oh, just whew, it's like a big relief. How much effort one immediately lets go of. Such a relief.
Yeah, and I love that you brought up the ocean analogy too, because I also recently heard another aspect of that ocean analogy in
Mhm.
that the waves are part of the ocean.
Yeah,
But the waves are an expression in the ocean, just like we're expressions
right.
out in the world. But yet the waves are still a part of the ocean.
Right. They each have their unique expression, and some are
Yeah,
big. Yeah. And they each have their own way of flowing,
just like us.
like us. Big
Yeah.
waves in the ocean. Yeah, I think waves in the ocean might be even more appropriate than drops. Because, yeah, we have our own unique way of expressing and flowing. It's beautiful
Yeah.
and very watery. I love that you're wearing a whale necklace. Do you want to share any experiences you've had with, especially as a clairvoyant, being aware of that inner psychic level of awareness in encountering dolphins, whales, other very aware beings in different types of bodies?
Oh, yeah. I have a really big connection with the dolphins and the ocean and whales lately, too, which is kind of interesting in that I didn't learn to swim until I was an adult.
Wow.
And that was barely. I learned to tread water when I was 21.
Nice.
But the first time I got in the ocean in Hawaii to swim with the Hawaii spinner dolphins, I felt so at home.
Yeah.
And I really created a bond with the dolphins. They're just such amazing, playful beings. And
Yeah.
the way that they communicate, they communicate telepathically in pictures.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of communication with them. They're quite interesting creatures, just like the whales. It's said that they are the libraries of the world. I
Yeah.
had an opportunity just this last September to swim with the humpback whales in Tahiti,
Wonderful.
which was an amazing, amazing experience.
Yeah. And
And
what did, in terms of swimming with a being that is like the library of the world, how did you experience that? Did you experience it as like this vast information that you can kind of tune into as you communicate with the whales? How did you experience their communication?
I think the biggest thing was the huge heart opening.
Yeah.
As soon as they're there, and in particular, when they look you in the eye,
Mm.
when their big
Mhm.
giant eye comes by and looks right at you,
Yeah.
your heart just opens right up.
Ah, yeah.
And
Yeah, I can feel that now as you're saying hello to it. It's amazing.
and just how, I mean, I experienced this with the dolphins, how they're very aware of just how close in proximity they are to you. They
Yeah.
can come very close to you without touching you. And
Mhm.
they're these behemoth beings
Yeah.
who are also very aware spatially of where you are in relationship to them.
Yeah.
They are in relationship to you, and they're coming up from the depths, and you're like, oh my goodness, am I going to have to swim out of the way? Oh my goodness. But they know.
Yeah. They're
Just
super aware.
know.
Yeah.
That's almost beyond words, that experience.
It is. I think that's why I'm just sitting here grinning.
And the other side of it
I've
too,
experienced it, but I have no words.
the other side of it too that I've experienced is being out on a boat and swimming with the dolphins in Hawaii, which
Yeah.
you're not allowed to anymore, but back in the day, being on a boat with a group of clairvoyants,
Hmm.
either swimming with dolphins or when swimming with the whales this past September was
Mm,
a group of clairvoyants I was with.
wonderful.
The people manning the boats, the captain and their safety swimmers, always say, we've never seen this happen.
Wow. Yeah. Like in terms of what the dolphins or whales were doing or how many of them were present.
Yes, because we're communicating with them.
Right. Because you're aware of that telepathic level of communication. And so the dolphins and whales are like, oh, they can hear us. Someone's paying attention.
They don't get that very often, so
Yeah,
they get excited.
they do. Yeah, I've experienced that so many times on going out in a boat with other clairvoyants, and just more dolphins show up than usual, or they linger and they're more communicative because
Yes.
because they're getting a hello back. Yeah. I wonder if we'll be able to shift that. I know it's illegal now to swim with the Hawaiian spinner dolphins, and I honor people's fear about disturbing them or harming them as more and more people, I think, are interested in swimming with them because they recognize the effect it has on them, whether it's heart opening or just that level of awareness of telepathy or the healing that the sonar is. When the dolphins swim around you and there's that container of sonar activity and activation that happens within you of that frequency that they're creating with their sonar, I think more people want to experience that, but I think it reached a level in Hawaii where it was like, okay, it's a little too busy. I think it frightened enough people that it got shut down.
Yeah. And so when that happened, I took the opportunity to go to Bimini in the Bahamas
Oh, yeah.
to swim with the Atlantic spotted dolphins.
Wow. How was that? What was the difference with those dolphins?
And also the bottlenose dolphins there,
Mhm.
which there's bottlenose dolphins in Hawaii, but they're not very people friendly there.
I've seen them before, but they weren't interested.
Yeah, they're just exactly, they're not interested. But in Bimini, the spotted dolphins and the bottlenose dolphins are very interested. And the difference is their energy is very different. The spotted dolphins are very intense. I mean, you can feel their energy coming at you almost like a freight train.
Oh, wow.
And they're big. They're
Yeah.
much, and the bottlenose dolphins are even bigger than the spotted dolphins.
Wow.
Whereas the Hawaiian spinner dolphins are a little bit on the smaller side. But the communication is the same. That's what I found interesting is that the communication, the playfulness is all still there. They want to hang out with you. They want to swim around you and play with you and dive down and come up. And so it's a
Yeah.
wonderful experience.
So they still have that playful vibration and the sonar. Did you hear them communicating
Yes.
with it? Yeah.
Yes.
I won't try to mimic it, but it's it's playing in my mind and it's always very heart opening to experience that.
Yeah, it's quite the healing because really they're kind of x-raying you in a way where they're reading your aura and your energy signature when they're doing that. And
Yeah, they're really seeing you. Talk about getting a hello.
yeah, one of my first experiences with the dolphins in Hawaii is I was out with my spiritual teacher, and that's when I first learned that they communicate via telepathy and pictures rather than words.
Right.
This big dolphin swam up to us and I was thinking, what do I say to it? Wait, they don't like words. They like pictures. They like wait, what do I say?
Right.
And so I thought, I'm just going to send it a bunch of gold color.
Yeah.
So I sent it a bunch of gold, a high vibration color, and it swam away. A few minutes later, it swam back up and just shot me full of this beautiful purple healing energy.
Aw. I love it.
That was my first real communication with a dolphin, and it was just amazing. I felt that energy just pass through my whole body and give me a healing. It was a big daddy dolphin. He was huge.
Amazing. Amazing. I think that's what a lot of people are looking for, whether they realize it or not, when they want to swim with the dolphins, having that experience of communication beyond words. This is something we all know is possible and real and really quite natural, but we don't often get to experience it. I think sometimes mothers and children might recognize, yeah, there's a lot going on here that we're saying to each other without speaking out loud. But how much of that is still on a word level, right? Whereas with the dolphins, it's picture level. It's just so simple. Those thoughts are so clear and simple. And I think more people really want to experience that and recognize that and have validation for that, that they too can communicate on that level. And that in being able to communicate on that level, there's no limits to communication, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we're seeing that a lot now with the telepathy tapes where non-speaking autistic people are demonstrating just how telepathic we all are, but because maybe they don't have the physical ability to communicate, they're demonstrating that, hey, that doesn't mean there's no communication. We're all still communicating. So it's beautiful. All that information's coming through.
Yeah, I've been hearing about the telepathy tapes, but hadn't listened to the podcast. So I'm glad to hear that once again, another avenue of information getting out there.
Yeah, more and more people are, I think, just blown away by, even if they knew that's possible and that happens, to really see it demonstrated and to have that, you could call it proof, but also just real life, present time demonstration of how powerful it is and how moving it is to recognize that we're not limited, even if we appear to be sometimes. It's wonderful. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for spending this time with me today and sharing your experiences of both coming onto this path of learning clairvoyance and now sharing it more and being ready to give readings and healings. I'm
Yeah.
cheering you on. I'm celebrating more people coming out of the closet and more people really sharing their wisdom and their light because you have much of that.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. This
Yeah.
has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Thanks everyone for being here, and we will see you next time on the Higher Vibe. Hello, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed what you saw. If you did, go ahead and hit like and subscribe. Share this with friends. Really helps us out, and we really appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you next time.